Hey, this is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce for the 20th of October, 2014. How are you? Are you good? Are you happening? Are you? It's a Monday, as you can tell already. Things are going quite well, aren't they? I mean, you're beginning to see the flaws in what's going on. You're beginning to see the cracks in the armor. You're beginning to see you're seeing a whole lot of stuff, okay? A little coffee in the morning. I'm good. Hey, give it up for Mr. Brian Lang over at LiveTruthRadio.com. He's out every weekend almost in the overpasses in Lima, Ohio. And go check out his radio show, the LiveTruthRadio.com. LiveTruthRadio.com. Yes, he's all over the place. Go check it out, LiveTruthRadio.com. Lots of other things going on in the world today. I'm going to be back live with the views expressed today after having a week off due to family issues. And I will be there at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right there on Spreaker.com and FreeAmericaRadio.us. And it is, what can I say? It's one of those things when you take a week off and you look back, and even though you got, issues going on, and you step back, you regroup, you reset, and you ask yourself, wait a minute, did I get that right? Did I look at that, in the right way? What did I see? How did that work? How does that work out? So that's all the time you take when you step out of the arena. You step out, you step away from what you're doing, and you examine the things that you're doing, and you're asking those questions of, okay, I've got to center myself. I've got to do this and that, so you plan the next time or for the next time. And you bring yourself to a point of, identifying those things that you felt were, wrong, disappointing, whatever it was, right? And that's what I did this past week. But I can tell you now that I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm going to tell it like it is. People are going to hate it. And that doesn't matter. Because here's the bottom line. Nobody's going to be satisfied. Nobody is going to agree on everything. And frankly, I certainly hope that people do disagree with me. But they can disagree with me all they want. And if they don't supply the information as to why they disagree with me, then their point is moot. I don't really care about why they disagree with me. If they're not willing to step up to the plate and say, this is why I disagree with you, I don't care. Disagree with me all you want. I know how you're going to present your argument, those people that disagree with me. And it's ridiculous. So disagree with me all you want. I hope people do. So I'm going to take a little break and shall return. Go to thewaynesPierceShow.weebly.com. This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce from the Free America Radio Network, Come join me on the Views Expressed live, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, on freeamericaradio.us. Eastland Radio Repertory Theater is looking for you. Are you a voice actor? Do you want to hone your abilities? Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com. We are currently looking for voice actors to fill certain character roles in an ongoing radio play in development. Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com. Hey, welcome back. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast for the 20th of October 2014. 11 more days, man, till Halloween. I think besides Christmas, Halloween is one of my other favorite days of the year. That and my birthday. It's one of those things. Hey, how y'all doing today? I've been hearing a lot about Libertarian Party, Democratic Party, Republican Party, all this. Well, let me simplify all of it for you. If you don't understand at this point, that is, Democrat and Republican parties are one party, the one party of the progressives, period. Now, Glenn Beck talks about that. A few other people I hear talk about that as well. But they are a progressive party. And Theodore Roosevelt started the Republican Progressive Party, period, back when he was president. And it went from there. So remember, there is no two-party system, period, end of sentence. Okay? There is no two-party system. It's a progressive system. Progressive not in the sense of, the difference between progressive in terms of a good thing is that we progress in a very positive, very beneficial way for the citizenry of the United States. That's a very positive thing. Progressiveness in politics is destroying sovereignty and the freedoms and the liberties of the people. Now, I don't care what you say. You can disagree with me all day long. Go look it up yourself. Now, here's the other thing. The Libertarian Party. Sounds good, doesn't it? Sounds fantastic. Okay, the Libertarian Party is a party of people who want the Constitution prior to 1871. They want the United States of America to be just like our founding fathers gave it to us. You see, they died broke. Did you know that our founding fathers paid for a lot of stuff on their own because they were rich? They had farms because that's what you did back then. Okay? They had connections, but it was a positive thing in terms of wanting a better life for the people that were here, that had been here for over hundreds of years at that point, or 100 so years at that point. Now, when you look at the Libertarian Party, you have to look at the principles of the founding fathers of this country. Now, a lot of people, including, some friends of mine, will say that, this country was founded on murder. Well, yeah, it was. Because we wiped out, within a 10-year period of time, we wiped out the indigenous people that were here that we now call the American Indians. And then we accepted the immoral actions of these privateers called slave traders. Then we accepted and allowed other things to happen. And it was the people who finally got fed up and said, you know what? I've had enough. And in 1775, 1776, a group of people got together and went, I'm actually mad as hell and can't take it anymore. And 3% of those people stood up to the King of England and went, screw you, this is our country, get the hell out. And they beat back the biggest army of that time. Now, I say that as dramatically as I can, out of memory of my history that I've looked into, looking back in all the stuff that I've read and all this. And the question came to mind, is that how it really happened? Or was there something going on behind the scenes that put the country of the United States on the map? I would say that there was a lot of people behind the scenes making things happen. It just didn't all of a sudden within 6 months, boom, here it is. No. There was a lot of things for many, many, many years taking place prior to the Declaration of Independence. And then 15 years later in 1791, on December 15th, there was and I would say it took that long for people to talk about and try to help people, do this and get what we have known as the ancient document. I'll get to that later. That in 1791, on December 15th, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights were ratified in the Congress. Now, there was a lot of discussions and probably a lot of arguments and probably a lot of yelling and probably a lot of stuff going on prior to the signatures being put on that document. But I'll tell you what, Benjamin Franklin was right. When somebody asked him, what do we have now? He says, a republic if you can keep it. And that's absolutely true, because even when you look at the situations going on around the country, just specifically the United States, you're wondering, I know some people may be wondering, how our founding fathers would ever have approved of the mindset of most people here today. I'm going to tell you exactly from the history that I've read and the writings of Thomas Jefferson and Samuel Adams and all that, and the Federalist Papers, which I've only read bits and pieces of. I can tell you right now, our founding fathers would walk into that White House, kick that guy's ass, throw him and the vice president and all of Congress out, and say, we're going to reset. We're going to regroup and reset because this isn't what we wanted. And that's the way it is. In other words, they would rebel. They did. You go back and look at it. They did rebel. You go look at what happened. Yeah, people look at George Washington and say he lost every battle he got into, but he still became president. But the thing is that these people back then would not put up with BS from anybody. And this is what America has come to today, is that we're so politically correct that we don't want to offend anybody. We now have churches being told by the state in Idaho that you will marry gay people or be fine. We will, charge you, and we will fine you for not marrying gay people. That's communism, folks. And if that's not communism, that's pretty damn close. That's like somebody walking into your house, sitting on your couch, grabbing your remote, changing the channel, and looking at you and saying, you have to make me dinner. excuse me, no. We have to rebel intellectually and peacefully. We have to put our foot down and say no. But there's too many wimpy people out there that don't have the balls to do it. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. If 100 people came to me, and if the militia of Nevada came to me and said to me, you have some really good ideas, let's sit down and discuss these. And if they looked at me and said, we're going to give you 25 people, we want you to go over here, I would discuss that with them, plan out something, and say, here's what we need to do. And you know what? If I was in a position to lead more than that, I would. But you know what it takes? It takes someone to stand up above the crowd and say, I have an idea. And we've heard it over and over and over again from various people, from Nick Tucker to Brian Lang to Brian Keller, from you name it. We've heard it. We've heard it. We are above the crowd. The people that see what's going on, that are aware of what's going on, that have an idea that is far better than anybody else's idea. You know what that is? And I'll make it very simple. The Constitution and the Bill of Rights prior to 1871, period. The principles laid down in that document and the principles that were laid down in the Declaration of Independence, it is as simple as that. You don't have to lift a finger to do anything. You just promote in a very intellectually rebellious way the Constitution and the Bill of Rights of the United States for America prior to 1871. That's what you do. Now, I don't know how many people can do that, and I don't know if there's anybody in this great state of Nevada, I use great in quotes, who would be willing to contact me and find out what can be done, or get together and discuss and plan. I don't know anybody here that is willing to do that, that has the balls to do that. Because you know why? And I'm going to tell you, this is another simple observation or a simple explanation of an observation I had. It's very simple. Everyone is waiting for someone else to do it. Everyone else is waiting for someone else to do it. You're waiting for me to climb on the rooftops and hold up the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. You're waiting for me to get on the overpasses and promote the intellectual revolution that will put down this government. Are you waiting for me to go armed into the city? That ain't going to happen, folks. It's going to take everybody in a collective manner to come together as a group and say, we are constitutionalists, we are the federalists, we are the abolitionists, we are the freedom fighters of a new republic. We call the United States for America and for Americans, because you and I were born and raised here. Unlike some people I know in Washington, D.C. We need to rebel. intellectually, peacefully, academically. We just need, and here's the thing. If students in the universities who are for the Constitution and the peace, freedom, and security in this nation and the liberty that they seek can get up out of their chairs and walk out of their classes right now, what are they going to do? What's the school going to do? Where are you going? No, we're protesting. So they failed that semester. But the word gets out that hundreds of students in colleges across the United States, thousands, millions of students in colleges across the United States have rebelled against the brainwashing in the governmental indoctrination institutes. You know, I get so excited. I get so excited I can't form my words and form sentences really well sometimes. But if the students across the United States get up out of their classes right now and walk out and protest the academic ineptitude of the governmental indoctrination institutes, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They can't do anything to you. I've seen statistics that say that students in high school or junior high or whatever it is, elementary school, parents have taken their children out of these schools and are homeschooling them. Why? Because you got bull crap in these schools. Period. They're governmental indoctrination institutes. That's what they are. That's what they are. So enough. You either rebel intellectually and peacefully, academically, with a purpose, and you're going to find you're going to be able to change things quickly. Now, I know that no one here in Reno, Nevada, in the biggest little city in the world, will ever want to meet with me because they don't have the balls. They don't have the backbone. They don't have the intellectual prowess. They don't have the ideas where they can stand on the rooftops and yell out what needs to be done. They don't. They don't. Because they are scared, they fear for their life, they don't want to be inconvenienced. They can't stand the fact that somebody is going to be against them and all this. They're just like, well, if I rock the boat, then somebody's going to get mad at me and I'll lose my job or I get arrested or whatever. Wimpy, no balls people. Reno, Nevada is full of them. Oh, there's pockets here and there of freedom fighters. There's pockets here, little areas around Reno and around Washoe County where people are, standing up for what is right. But not a whole lot. But now if these groups can get together and identify a problem and focus on a plan and get it done, I guarantee you Reno wouldn't be in the crapper as it is now. And I know this. And they know this. Because we walk around downtown in downtown Reno and around the casinos and all this and around the little shops and we go out to different places, these little strip malls. We drove by one just the other day and out of 26 storefronts, maybe there's 10 businesses in that whole strip mall. There's one nearby where I'm recording now and there's like 21 stores or 21 storefronts and maybe 11 businesses are in there. I mean, you can see this all around Reno, Nevada. You can go out to many different places in Reno, Nevada. You can go out to the industrial parks. You can see warehouses empty. You can see for lease signs on the buildings. Why? Because we have morons running the city. Yeah, and we have a governor that doesn't have the balls to stand up to the federal government and say, no, we're not going to deal with this anymore. We're a sovereign state, and that's just the way it is. Now, I'm not saying he does bad things. I'm pretty sure he's trying to do the best he can to stay above water. I am pretty much in agreement with that thought. Okay? I believe he's doing the best he can. But with the pressures from Washington, D.C. and everything coming down, and now with the Ebola and all this and all that. By the way, I've heard about that too. Ebola being a manufactured bioweapon. Is that true? They've done it before. Why wouldn't they do it again? But we're doing the best we can. But we're not doing enough. We don't have enough people out there. We got these little groups that have their own little agendas. Let me tell you, Reno, Nevada, and all you little groups out there in this town, enough with the agendas already. Drop them. We have human beings that are being persecuted for what they believe. Do you care about that? No, you don't. All you care about is your stupid agenda. We have these little groups that have these ideas that, well, if this and this and this, and we got to do it. No. You're looking more for your 15 minutes of fame than for a lifetime of freedom. So shut your damn mouth and get real. You need to understand one very vital thing. Everybody you deal with is a human being looking for peace, freedom, security, and liberty in this state and in this country. And if all you're doing is creating and building upon an agenda that you have for your selfish motivations, then you are worthless. It's that simple. At least care about the people and look to what you can do for them, not what you can get from them. I see a lot of cliques in Reno, a lot. And that has to go too. I know that probably won't, but I know just by looking at what's happening around us in this biggest little city in the world, we got too many cliques wanting their 15 minutes of fame, basing their entire movement on an agenda that is selfish and self-centered, period. Now, I could be wrong, and I'm sure somebody's going to disagree with me. So I want you to email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com, freeamericaradio@usa.com. Put in the subject line, disagreement. That way I know you heard this show. But I'm going to go to break. I'm going to calm down a little bit, get some more coffee, and I shall return in a moment. Go to thewaynespearceshow.weebly.com for more information and check out the views expressed live today at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on Free America Radio Network on freeamericaradio.us.
Shall we play a game?
Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? And it was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed that we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world, but I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering. The perfect world, the dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from. Which is why the Matrix was redesigned to this, the peak of your civilization.
I am wondering, why are you here?
This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce from The Views Expressed. Please come join me on The Views Express Live, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Spreaker.com. The President of the United States turns the country into a dictatorship. And what happens after he does? Find out in the book Dictator-in-Chief by Brian Keller, available at Amazon.com or CreateSpace.com. Eastland Radio Repertory Theater is looking for you. Are you a voice actor? Do you want to hone your abilities? Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com. We are currently looking for voice actors to fill certain character roles in an ongoing radio play in development. Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com.
Lock it on to the best station on the net.
For all you independent artists, musicians, and filmmakers, there is a place for you. Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. Go to radiorocktheblitz.blogspot.com. What we see is not always the truth. Lies, deceit, cover-ups. This is the world we live in. It is not reality. It is distorted reality. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook.
What does freedom mean? Tune in to LRN.FM to find out. LRN.FM is the Liberty Radio Network, a collection of live talk radio and podcasts, all coming from a principled pro-liberty perspective. LRN.FM show hosts aren't left, right, or conspiracy kooks. You can tune in 24/7 to LRN.FM via your phone, computer, satellite, and more. Listen free anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Hey folks, this is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast for the 20th of October 2014. How are you today? Are you doing good? Hey, I got a question for you. Let me know how the sound is. I've been dealing with some sound issues, some tech issues here. Been trying to adjust them to give you the best sound possible. So let me know. Free America Radio at USA.com. Put in the subject line sound. That's Free America Radio at USA.com. Put in the subject line sound. And let me know. Okay. Go to the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. I've been off a week, so I haven't got a whole lot there. But let me read you. I'm going to share this piece of information on there as well, and also on the Free America Radio Facebook page about this. If you don't see what I've been talking about just through this, you got a problem. You got a huge frickin' problem. Let me go to the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. And I will read you this from theminorityblog.com. And I want to ask. I really want to know. I'm very curious. I really want to know. Does it matter to you who gets married? Seriously. Same-sex couples, whatever. It doesn't matter. Does it matter to you who gets married? The Minority Report blog.com. Government to ordained ministers. Celebrate same-sex wedding or go to jail. From the Daily Signal by Ryan T. Anderson. Let me read a little caption underneath the picture. So is there no religious freedom left in the United States? The United States was founded on the principles of religious freedom. Has liberal, progressive, orthodoxy, and political correctness overtaken the most basic of inalienable rights in America? It appears so. Remember, I was talking earlier in the first half of the show that, progressives are now the norm. There is no political parties. It's the Progressive Party across the board, period. Both Democrat and Republican. If you want to vote Democrat and Republican, you go right ahead. That's your choice. But it's the Progressive Party, so think about that one. The Daily Signal by Ryan T. Anderson. Thank you, Ryan. For years, those in favor of same-sex marriage have argued that all Americans should be free to live as they choose. And yet, in countless cases, the government has coerced those who simply wish to be free to live in accordance to their belief that marriage is the union of a man and a woman. Just this weekend, by the way, let me tell you when this was dated. This was October 19th. Continuing, just this weekend, a case has arisen in Idaho where city officials have told ordained ministers they have to celebrate same-sex weddings or face fines and jail time. The Idaho case involves Donald and Evelyn Knapp, who both ordained ministers who run Hitching Post Wedding Chapel. Officials from, Coeur d'Alene, is that what it is? Idaho, told the couple that because the city has a non-discrimination statute that includes sexual orientation and gender identity, and because of the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals struck down Idaho's constitutional amendment defining marriage as the union of a man and a woman, the couple would have to officiate at same-sex weddings in their own chapel. The non-discrimination statute applies to, quote, public accommodations, unquote. That's to all public accommodations. And the city views the chapel as a public accommodation. On Friday, a same-sex couple asked to be married by the Knapps, and the Knapps politely declined. The Knapps now face a 180-day jail term and a $1,000 fine for each day they decline to celebrate the same-sex wedding. Let me read that to you again because this is the crux of what is going to happen. On Friday, a same-sex couple asked to be married by the Knapps, and the Knapps politely declined. That should have stopped right there. They should have went someplace else. The Knapps now face a 180-day jail term and a $1,000 fine for, get this, each day they decline to celebrate the same-sex wedding. A week of honoring their faith and declining to perform the ceremony could cost the couple 3.5 years in jail and a $7,000 fine. Government coercion, I would say so. The Knapps have been married to each other for 47 years and are both ordained ministers of the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel. They are, quote, evangelical Christians who hold to historic Christian beliefs, unquote, that, quote, God created two different genders in his image, unquote, and, quote, that God ordained marriage to be between one man and one woman, unquote. But as a result of the courts redefining marriage and a city ordinance that creates special privileges based on sexual orientation and gender identity, the Knapps are facing government coercion. Governmental recognition of same-sex relationships as marriages need not and should not require any third party to recognize a same-sex relationship as a marriage. Government should respect the rights of all citizens. Indeed, a form of government respectful of free association, free contracts, free speech, and free exercise of religion should protect citizens' rights to live according to their beliefs about marriage. Excuse me. The Knapps have been celebrating weddings in their chapel since 1989. Government should not now force them to shut down or violate their beliefs. Remember that place in upstate New York that had the same thing. They performed weddings in their home. And now they've shut down because the government said, no, it's a public accommodation and you will accommodate for same-sex marriage. And they said, no, we won't. And they pretty much just had to shut down that part of their business. This is government interfering with your life, folks. This is government stepping on your toes and going, why are you screaming? Continuing, after all, protecting religious liberty and the rights of conscience does not infringe on anyone's sexual freedoms. No one has a right to have the government force a particular minister to marry them. Some citizens may conclude that they cannot in good conscience participate in same-sex ceremonies, from priests and pastors to bakers and florists. They should not be forced to choose between strongly held religious beliefs and their livelihood. Period. I emphasize the period. Now, that's from the minorityreportblog.com, and I want to really, 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 really emphasize this. And I'm going to make this very, very, very clear. Any government, whether it's city, county, state, or federal, that comes to me and says, you're an ordained minister, you have to marry gay people, I'm going to look at them and say, kiss my ass. I'm the most unorthodox, politically incorrect minister that you will ever meet in your whole entire life, because I stand on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I stand where I do through conscience, and I am led by my beliefs and follow that conscience and follow my intuition and do what I do because I am not like anyone else. And I talked about in the first half hour of the show that we need to rebel. And that's exactly what we need to do in a very peaceful, intellectual, and academic way. We need to rebel because the Constitution of the United States for America and the Declaration of Independence says we have a duty and an obligation to do so. Now, whether you want to or not, that's entirely up to you. That is entirely up to you. The Declaration of Independence in Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. And by the way, the word united is not capitalized. The U is not capitalized, but States of America are. So there you go. July 4th, 1776. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and women, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm going to stop right there and say when it says that all men are created equal, they're talking specifically, ambiguously about humankind, okay? That means man and woman, okay? Even though this was written by men, when you examine the culture of that time and the society and how things were done, it literally, when you put it all together, you will see they meant humanity. Humankind. Continuing, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. We do not consent to the illegal, unconstitutional laws of this land as of 2014. That is the first part of the rebellion. Continuing, that whenever now here's a direct command to the people of the United States written in the Declaration of Independence. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter and to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Period. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. Period. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Period. I'm adding the emphasis on the period because I want you to understand exactly what your duties and obligations are. And this goes for all government officials, city, county, state, and federal. This goes for all the military in the United States. You are now under no obligation to follow unconstitutional laws. Period. You don't like it. I tend to have a disagreement with those who don't like the way that my patriotism is shown for this nation I was born in. And if you don't like it, progressives, I'll help you pack and move to North Korea or China or Russia or any other third world country you believe you want to be in. Let me continue here. Such has, and this goes with the colonies of that time in 1776, such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. The king, as was then, to prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. This is going on today, folks. It's called the Bilderberg Group, established in 1954 in Switzerland at the Bilderberg Hotel. Continuing, he has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasion of the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolution to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all of the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions from within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migration hither, and raising the condition of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected the multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He is affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and acknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. 4. Quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. 4. Protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for many murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. 4. Cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. 4. Imposing taxes on us without our consent. 4. Depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury. 4. Transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. 4. Abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. 4. Taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments. 4. Suspending our own legislatures and declaring them invested with the power of to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, dissolution, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens, then captive on the high seas, to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers and merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. Yeah. I could go on, but you can read the Declaration of Independence yourself. And you won't like it. I will put this up on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page for you to take a gander at. It's a PDF form, so you might need to get the Adobe Reader to get it. Doesn't that sound familiar, what I just read? Doesn't that sound like someone we know currently residing in the suit in Washington, D.C., inside the Oval Office of the nation's capital? We have a problem, folks, and the problem can be solved by an intellectual and academic rebellion in peace for the sake of the future of the United States and the citizens that we call our brothers, fathers, as we call our mothers and sisters and cousins and aunts and uncles. Do you really think that this government cares one bit about you or them? No. What do? You heard it right there. You can read it for yourself. It is what it is. You cannot change it, nor will you ever be able to until you get a freaking clue. I'm giving you the freaking answers. You don't need a clue. You got it right there in front of you, and all you have to do is take the steps to accommodate for the peace, freedom, and security and liberty of this nation. And if you don't, you are a cowardly bastard. Got it? Come join me on the Views Express Live today if you want to hear more. I'm going to talk about some other things that's going on around the country and around the world. So please join me. FreeAmericaRadio.us. Free America Radio Network on Spreaker.com. The Views Express Live, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. FreeAmericaRadio.us is the website. The website for this show is thewaynespearceshow.weebly.com. Check it out. If you want to support this show, please do. We're planning on moving to the next level, so your help is very much appreciated. Thank you. Appreciate that. Time to go, folks. It's Monday, and I got a lot to do. So have a great Monday. Enjoy yourself. If you want to get a hold of me, please do. Free America Radio at USA.com. Free America Radio at USA.com. And remember, the Views Express Live today at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Free America Radio Network on Spreaker.com and FreeAmericaRadio.us.